Live from the Business Radio X studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and we are coming to you from our virtual Business Radio X studio in Alpharetta. No, we're not in Renaissance Bank. We are virtual until during the stage of social distancing, but we look forward to being back in Renaissance very soon. We're delighted with our association with them. They've done just an awesome job with their clients on PPP loans and other SBA related work that they've been doing here in this COVID-19 crisis that we find ourselves in. I would encourage you to get in touch with your local Renaissance banker. The branches are open, but by appointment only. So you have to make an appointment to go into the branch. The drive-ins are always open, so you can just zip through the drive-through for that kind of business. But if you need to have a meeting with a Renaissance banker at 6 feet of distance, just give your local banker there a call, or go to renaissancebank.com for the nearest location if you need to find that information. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Mark Weiss. Mark is with Renaissance Communications Group and SendOutCards. Mark, welcome.
Thank you, John. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with your listeners.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about what you do with Renaissance and SendOutCards. Well,
my name is Mark Weiss, and what I do is I work with businesses helping them to keep the clients that they've worked so hard to get. And we do this through a process of systems and cards that are sent through the mail, actual physical cards. And what that does is keeps the sender top of mind.
That's pretty simple and straightforward. And actually, it's simpler than it appears, right? I mean, when you say a process, it's not just about sending out cards. There's a process to what you do.
Oh, yes. There's a mindset, and that's called relationship marketing. And when I say relationship marketing, that's with a capital R and a small m, because if you ask somebody what they think relationship marketing is and they start talking to you about it, you're going to be able to tell whether they're into the marketing side of it or they're in the relationship side. And in relationship marketing, it's all about the relationship. The marketing comes second. So, when I ask people about that, I tell them they're emphasizing that relationship. That's what's important. That's what people are going to remember you by. The relationship comes first, not the marketing. Marketing never comes first. And so what we need to understand is that in today's world, it's changed so much, even more so with the current situation. But even before that, there was a change in the sales process that people aren't buying products or services or your offers or your gimmicks. They're buying from you. You're the brand at that point in time. Theodore Roosevelt said people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that goes back to the 1900s. Jeff Bezos said, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Jeff Bezos, who's that guy? We know who he is, right? The head of Amazon.
Yeah. I loaned him some money many years ago.
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
No interest.
Yeah.
And then finally, Jordan Belfort, the author of The Way of the Wolf,
the
guy that was portrayed in Wolf on Wall Street. He said the prospect must love your product, trust and connect with you, trust and connect with your company. So you, the listener, the individual, the consultant, the salesperson, you are the vehicle. If they don't like you, the client doesn't like you, the prospect doesn't like you, nothing's ever going to happen.
And that's, I think people get caught up, and companies have a reason for them to get caught up in this, because companies would like folks to think that it's about the company and the company brand. But what you're saying is that personal brand is awfully important to anyone, regardless of where they are, whether they're small business, work for a bigger company, what have you.
Exactly. If the person cannot connect, the prospect cannot connect with that person, it really doesn't matter what the company's going to be selling. It may be just move on, and the next person who comes to talk to me about your company, I may purchase from them. But it's that connection that comes first. So, we talk about relationship marketing versus traditional marketing. What is the difference? Well, we all know what traditional marketing is we prospect, acquire, and we manage. And with that, there is a $5 investment that makes $1 back in sales. Now, in relationship marketing, it's low cost. For every $1 that's spent, $5 is returned. There's low turnover. Probability of sales is 60 to 70%. And the benefits of relationship marketing versus traditional marketing really outweighs it because it retains customers, generates incremental sales, and generates referrals. And that's all done by keeping top of mind. That's what SendOutCards does. Now, I'm not going to say SendOutCards is the only solution. If somebody wants to go into the dollar store, go to Hallmark. We do it for a lot less than Hallmark can do. And write out cards, handwritten cards. That's wonderful. Do it. Just do it. We just provide a vehicle that makes it a lot simpler. My favorite example of this is during the holidays. I work with clients, and I had one client who had on their contact list to send holiday cards, like close to 900 customers that they were going to send cards to. And if you've ever sent cards manually, you know what that's like. We did that in, I think, 2005 was the last time, where I bought the cards from a store. They came folded, came flat rather. Had to unfold them, stuff them in the envelope, put on the labels that I made, both mailing and return labels, put on the stamps, then seal the envelopes. And then if that wasn't enough, I then had to deliver to the post office. When I worked with this customer, what they did was I shared with them how to, they downloaded their CRM into an Excel spreadsheet. They cleaned it up. I worked with them to convert it to a CVS file. We imported into SendOutCards. They had already created the card. And I said, we want to match these 900 names with this card. And we click send. And then SendOutCards printed, stuffed, and stamped the envelope for maybe less than $2 into card.
Yeah. Huge time savings there.
And that includes postage.
Yeah. So, I want to get into some of those details in a second, but let's talk about why. You're a relationship marketing guy. You're someone that helps with personal branding. There are a lot of different ways to relationship market. There are a lot of different ways to improve your personal brand. Why send out cards over all the other types of work you could do with clients?
I think that what SendOutCards does provides that tangible touch, and tangible in a meaningful way. We all have different gifts that we receive from clients, which is nice. It's a nice way to say thank you. That's certainly part of the equation. SendOutCards is not the only part of the equation.
Sure.
But it's the tangible touch. That's what is important. Let me share this story with you. So if you can close your eyes, put this, run this through your mind. You're sitting on your porch. It's an early summer afternoon, coming up on that. And you hear the sounds of summer, children playing, dogs barking, and a car rolls down the street. And the dog next door, which is barking, sees the car, starts running, chasing, barking after it. And the driver sees the dog, slows down, comes to a stop, rolls down the window, looks at the dog and says, "Okay, now that you got me, what are you going to do with me?" And the dog looks like, "I have no idea." Well, that's what a lot of businesses are doing. They try so hard to get clients. They get the client, but then they have no idea what to do with them other than to sell them and hope that they're going to come back. If they take those extra steps to create that relationship with them, they're going to come back. Internet marketers do a really great job of attracting clients to websites, which then comes to physical locations. But if you ask them, well, what are you doing to keep that loyalty? They don't have a good answer for it. I think they're great at the front end, but the clients are kind of stuck at the end and the back end. How do you keep them? in a significant way, in an emotional way? How are you tied to it? Just sending information about maybe products or whatever they've looked at, that's not personal.
Right.
That's a business thing.
Right.
So that's really where that card that comes in the mail, addressed to you, personalized, is the example.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a real life story from a woman named Gail Zintek, who's a realtor out in Michigan, and she attended a taste of the community that she lives in, and that all these different chefs were, competing, and this one chef really cleaned up. The food was excellent, and Gail basically took a picture, had her camera with her. This was a number of years ago. That time, her referral business for a real estate agency was 38%. And she took a picture, and she took a picture of the award and one of the plates, and basically told the person in the card, "Thank you so much for sharing your meal with us.
Mm-hmm.
It was excellent. You deserved all the awards you've won this evening. And thank you for supporting the community." And she signed it, Gail and Steve Zentek, put her phone number down. On the back, it may have had her, what she did. Probably it did. Mm. So a month later, she gets a phone call from the guy who says, "Listen, my girlfriend and I are thinking about buying a house. We'd like to interview you and your husband and see if that would be a fit." And so they did, and helped them get into their house. Mm. In the course of the next 5 years, they helped 9 family members either buy or sell a home. That was $70,000 in commission, all from a card that was sent in the mail, that didn't ask for referral, that didn't do anything other than to say, "Congratulations."
Mm. That cost $2 or so, or whatever, right? Yeah.
So, John, would you agree that your return on equity on that would be pretty good?
Yeah, I think I can do that math. That's pretty awesome. Folks, if you just joined us, we're with Mark Weiss, and he is with Renaissance Communications Group and SendOutCards. Now, it occurs to me that I jumped ahead in this interview just a bit because I know about SendOutCards and I use SendOutCards, and we'll talk about that in just a second about how I use it at Business Radio X. But for those that don't know SendOutCards and don't know what you do, I mean, they may think we're just talking about, some automated, impersonal, maybe card service, and that's not what SendOutCards is.
Yeah.
Describe how it works. I mean, how do people send cards using your system?
It starts out online on a computer, laptop, tablet, phone. We have apps for either the Android or the iOS platforms. And the person can go in. If they just want to send a thinking of you card, they can find the category thinking of you, and there'll be a selection of cards. If they want to do something more with that thinking of you card, they can go in with that and maybe add a picture of them and the person that they're sending it to from at some time when they were together, and put that on the inside. They can then write their own comments. Usually there's space for, if there's text in the card, verse in the card, then there's an area for them to write their own comments, or they could just blow away the comments that are already in there, the text already in there, and write a full card. Mm. On the back of the card, they can brand it for themselves, for their business, whatever they want. They click on the person, and we have a CRM system within SendOutCards that has addresses. They click on that person's address, they click send, and then SendOutCards. We'll print the card and send it out. And so typically what happens, we print cards out in Salt Lake City 5 days a week. Cards that are submitted usually are sent out within 24 hours, except cards that are sent out Friday, Saturday. Those cards are then actually printed Monday morning and will go out in the mail. Now, I say typically because during the holiday season, we're doing multiple runs a day.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And on Saturdays, because the volume's incredible. Gosh, and since 2007, when SendOutCards started, we've sent, I heard the statistic, around 170 million cards, 12 million gifts. And John, not all those gifts were brownies. Which we have incredible brownie gifts.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's hard to get off those brownies. That's, and to look at something else in terms of gift options, because those things are so good. But so what, I mean, it's not that, handwritten, cards, that are, you buy off the rack at a big box store are invalid or not anything wrong with that. What you're offering, though, is a highly personalized experience. If you can send a card that has, your picture with the recipient's picture or something like that, or maybe it's an award the recipient received and congratulations, something like that. That's highly personal and memorable, right?
Definitely. I can't think of anything that would be more personal if somebody wins an award and they post it on their LinkedIn page of them receiving the award. They worked hard for that award. Mm-hmm. And to put that in a card to celebrate that event says something. Mm-hmm. It says something about the relationship.
Sure.
It creates a good feeling. And believe me, they're not going to get rid of that card. They'll keep that on their desk. I have somebody in SendOutCards who found a picture of a mother holding a newborn child with her daughter. Actually, I think the daughter was holding the baby. And, people ask, well, don't people object to you taking pictures from their Facebook page or their LinkedIn page and putting in a card? Are you trolling them? Well, the answer that she received from the message that she received from them was, thank you so much for the card. Mm. My daughter wants to keep that card in her bedroom.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So you're touching people. You're touching people in a way that a promotional product can't.
Sure.
It's not shameful to go for the heart because that's being sincere.
Absolutely. Well, and it's not, I mean, there's nothing really cynical about that at all. I mean, you're really celebrating other people and doing it in a genuine way when you do it the way you recommend.
Well, you're giving of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're creating, not to be cynical, your own brand. This defines who you are.
Sure.
What we say in SendOutCards is find out who you are and then give yourself away. Listen to your inner promptings and then act on them for your outer promptings to send that card. A card that's sent to somebody, especially in today's times, they may not be getting that much mail to begin with. And to say, listen, I care about you, or if it's a business card, I send cards to clients and saying, I'm hoping everyone's doing well, you and your team. If there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. We'll keep in touch. There are better days ahead. It's very simple.
You made a point there that I think is important. And this was true before this stay-at-home period we find ourselves in, that good old-fashioned United States postal mail is an underutilized way to reach people, right?
Definitely. It's an important way to reach people, though, too, because here's the reason why. Okay, and I don't know if you remember, John Nesbitt wrote a book called Megatrends back in 1982. And in the introduction to the book that Cody Bateman wrote, The Power of Human Connection, Dr. Ivan Meisner, BNI, wrote the foreword to it. And basically what he said was, one of his takeaways from Megatrends was that as society moves towards high tech, this is 1982, as society moves towards high tech, society must evolve to also become high touch. Now, as we become more inward and isolated by technology, it's increasingly important to connect with people. So we need to bridge that relationship gap between high touch and personal touch, and relationship marketing is that solution. So think about it. We're meeting on Zoom. Okay, that's face to face. It doesn't replace across the table. I call it screen to screen, not necessarily face to face.
Right.
So we're doing this.
Right.
So there will be a time when we do go back. But again, it's giving yourself away. It's sharing. This isn't the time, and I've said this, you've heard this at the chamber, to be pitching for business. It really isn't. Clients hear from you. They want to know that you care about them, that you're thinking about them. maybe sharing some things that you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not in SendOutCards, if the person's not in SendOutCards, there's a great resource. It's email. You go into that. You go into either Google or Bing, type in inspirational messages, and you'll find one, and you put that in the email with a short note from you saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about you, and hoping we'll all get through this." Again, just do that. Right.
Folks, if you just joined us, we're with Mark Weiss. He's with Renaissance Communications Group and SendOutCards. So, Mark, one of the things that you referenced this book by Cody Bateman, The Power of Human Connection, and it's on relationship marketing. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. But one of the things that is in that book, which you sent me a copy of, thank you, was talking about the power of being grateful and showing you are being grateful, not just being practicing gratitude, I guess, not just being thankful, right? There's a difference in practicing gratitude and just being thankful.
Definitely. There's false gratitude. Mm-hmm. There's insincere gratitude. There's gratitude to get something from somebody. None of those qualify. Mm-hmm. People see through it. We've seen so much of it, I think, that we've become so much more aware of it. We can tell when it's not done right. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So that's really where that relationship comes from. Mm-hmm. If somebody basically meets you and says, "I want to become your best friend," well, basically, let's go on a few dates first and see how it goes.
Right. Okay,
because it's not going to happen automatically. But we have to do that. We have to build those relationships. Statistics wouldn't be statistics without statistics, right? Mm-hmm. So here's something, because you were asking about the post office and technology. Only 11% of emails ever get opened. So a greeting card is 11 times more likely to be opened than another piece of mail, and a tangible thank you card generates more referral business than any other form of communication. But yet, fewer than 3% of business people actually send a thank you card, which means that there's an incredible percentage, 97%, are not doing it. So if one is doing that, they're going to really stand out.
Right. And in a social media soaked world, standing out is hard to do. Maybe sometimes this is one clear way to do it.
Yeah. Well, even in social media, if people think about social media, we've become kind of narcissistic. People are, posting all about their vacations, about them, what they're doing, how they're feeling, what they've had for breakfast, all of that. But it's the shout outs to had a wonderful experience with XYZ company. Mm-hmm. They really came through for me. That is so much more powerful, and it shows much more, I'm going to say, integrity than constantly talking about oneself.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to share what we do here at Business Radio X with SendOutCards. Okay. So, we help folks that want to do their own radio show podcast. And so we make their clients feel welcome when they come into the studio. And one of the things that we have found is, we use SendOutCards after the show is done. Of course, they get the famous Business Radio X mug on the way out the door, but, later they receive a SendOutCard that says, "Thank you" from, Brady Ware or Frazier and Dieter, or whoever our client is. Thank you for being on the show. You did a great job, and was a pleasure having you on. And of course, on the front of that card is a picture of them in the studio. And what we have found is that we get thank you notes back for the thank you note, which is something that I've never experienced before, because the thank you note itself, that SendOutCard, is so unusual. And it's something that they, as you say, they keep right there on their desk.
Definitely. What you've done, John, by having them on Business Radio X is you've given them an experience. And in a way, you've helped them because they're talking about their business, or they're basically helping somebody else, like sharing information. You're giving them a platform. And then at the end of it, you're saying, thank you so much for doing it. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here. Mm. It's not complicated.
No.
It's certainly not rocket science.
No, it's not. And what's amazing about that, Mark, is that I've actually gotten comments from people that have they've been on all sorts of media appearances. I got one from a politician, and politicians are pretty cynical about the media. And I got a response from him. He said, that was the most unique thing I've ever gotten from anybody on anything I've ever done with an interview. He says, I really appreciate that. And he had it on his desk. It was amazing. And this is a politician that's been interviewed by all sorts of different media outlets. It
does its work. But let me share with you, if I could, John.
Please.
When we talk about the experience, and I'm going to use, because I talked about a process and a system. The system is what actually sends out the cards. There's a process, though, that goes behind this. And that's what we call campaigns, where a business or an individual can send out a bunch of cards throughout the course of a year, where that first card will then activate subsequent cards. So let me take something that's sort of ambiguous and make it a little bit more concrete. So imagine that you're a copier salesman, and you sign a 3-year lease on a piece of equipment to a business. As a copier salesman, your goal, your number one goal, your one thing is to keep that client for the 3 years of that lease, and not have them walk away in sort of at the beginning of year 2, because another copier salesman comes in, sweet talks them. You haven't been talking with them at all since, after the installation,
right,
or minimally, and basically said, I'll pay you off the balance of your lease, come with us. And all of a sudden, you've lost that sale. You've lost that future sale. So if the salesperson were to say, okay, what I want to do is I want to show appreciation, and I'm going to send them a card. I'm going to send them 5 cards through the course of the year. And the first card will be during the day of installation, maybe have the whole team there. And they take a picture of them standing by their new copy machine. And basically the thank you card says, thank you so much for putting your trust in Acme Copier and in me to help you find the right copy machine. I'm sure that this is going to help your productivity of you and your staff. If you have any questions, I'm a phone call away. Your friend Mark. That's simple. Sends out the card. Well, that will trigger another card that will happen in 90 days, where the salesperson doesn't really have to think about it. It's going to happen automatically. That will say, hey, it's 90 days. We hope that you and your staff have experienced all this great productivity from the copy machine. There's a lot of new technology in your machine. And if you want, I'd be happy to come back and spend the afternoon with you and your staff and go through it all again and answer any questions. Your friend Mark. So that's cards 1 and 2. Cards 3 and 4, depending upon the time of the year, could be either birthday card or the holiday card. Because you have a relationship with that person who bought the machine, right?
Sure.
That 5th card is going to be, it's almost a year now. Your anniversary is coming up. If you like the experience that we've given you, both in our service and in our relationship and in the machine, if you have friends who are business owners who you think would appreciate the level of service we've given you, we would like the referral. Thank you. Dear friend Mark. And then it starts out again with the anniversary card. Goes through. That's staying top of mind. Joe Girard did that. The car salesman sent out 12 cards a month plus a birthday card, or 12 cards a year plus 1 birthday card. So, but all that is the process, John. That's what comes. The first card goes out manually. The other 4 are scheduled to go out at that time.
Right. Now, but let's get back to Joe Girard and the significance of you bringing that up, because he was, he did so well at automobile sales. He actually wrote the book on it, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. And it was because of that system.
From 1963 to 1978, Joe Girard sold 13,001 cars in Detroit, Michigan. In 1973 alone, he sold 1,475. And as I mentioned, he sent out 13 cards a year, one for each month, one for the birthday. And they were very simple messages. He didn't have SendOutCards back then. He actually hired a designer to design 13 cards each year, one being the birthday, one for each month, and then employed 2 women who would send out all these cards. So if you think that he sold 13,001 cards over a period of time, I don't know how many of those were repeat purchases, but he was doing that and staying in touch. People would line up in front of the dealership on a Saturday before the dealership opened to buy a car from Joe Girard. And I assure you that Joe Girard did not put in his first thank you card to them saying, "Thank you so much for buying a card. Here's 5 of my business cards. Please share it with your friends. I'd love to help them." He didn't do that.
He didn't need to do that.
He didn't need to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great story. So, Mark, you mentioned the holidays. One thing I wanted to bring out that I've heard you say is the significance of sending a holiday card at Thanksgiving or before Thanksgiving instead of in December around the traditional holiday time.
Definitely. I was thinking of the bank robber Willie Sutton. Willie Sutton was asked, why do you rob banks? And Willie Sutton looked at the reporter and looked at him incredulously and said, well, that's where the money is. Well, if you think about that sort of in reverse, during the holiday season, everybody's sending out holiday cards. But when they send out holiday cards, they have a conundrum. If they send out happy holidays, there are people who are going to say, well, you didn't send me a Christmas card. Not everybody celebrates Christmas. And Christmas, Hanukkah, fall at different times of the year. We have Kwanzaa and other holidays at that time. So the best way to do it is to send out a Thanksgiving card because few people are actually doing that. Though more and more people are doing it each year. We may have to go back in 15 years and start sending out holiday cards again. But if you think of the stack of Thanksgiving cards that one receives, a business receives versus the holiday cards, there's fewer. But those are the ones that make the impression.
Right.
The other ones just get hung up.
Yeah, for sure. So Mark, talk about how you work with a client. I mean, someone has listens to this and says, okay, I believe I'd like to get started, give it a shot. How do you engage with clients? How does that work?
Well, I go out and I meet with people and I share SendOutCards. And in today's world, I'm sending them a link to a website page that I can walk them through in a Zoom. You may do it in a Zoom. I may actually walk them through, have them send out their first card. And once we get set up, they just say, okay, well, I want to do this. Meet with them, have them send out their first card, first campaign, create their first campaign. We have different ways to go about doing that. And explain the system, but also share with them the information about relationship marketing, how to do it and how not to do it. In my networking group, I've talked about if you send a thank you card, say thank you in the thank you card. Don't put in a business card because you're taking the card away. If you're sending a birthday card, make it about the birthday, not about you by putting in a business card. People, it's a rather simple concept, yet people do it. So a guy was, he was just laughing at it. And then he received a card like that. And he said, oh my gosh, this is exactly what you were talking about. And he brought it into our networking group. So, John, you know the new business paradigm. I want to make sure I have time to share that. May I do that?
Sure, of course.
Okay. So there is an expression that we all know. People do business with people we know, like, and trust. And I've used that for many, many years. But lately I was thinking about, what does that really mean? So we all know more people than our parents ever knew because of social media, more mobility, whatever. So the people we know is a really large group. So out of the people that we know, there's a smaller subset of people that we like. Not everybody we know, we like. Now, that smaller subset of people that we like are people that we trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people say, well, I like them. I wouldn't let them in my house if I weren't home. Or I like them. I wouldn't leave my kids with them.
Right.
So there's that trust. So this is where, when you finally get to that point of trust, this is where today's challenge is. Because of our mobility, because of all of our networking and the way we do business now, we know multiple people who do the same thing.
Mm.
We know, think about how many bankers, real estate agents, mortgage brokers, restaurant owners, whatever that field is, probably you know more people than you think you do.
Sure.
So who do you give the referral to? That's why it's incumbent upon those people that we say, people do business with people they know, like, trust, and have a relationship with. It's that relationship. It's that business owner. It's that individual reaching back down to the individual to create that relationship. And then what happens? They generate incremental sales and they get referrals.
Mm.
So to me, the new business paradigm is people do business with people they know, like, trust, and have a relationship with.
Great words from Mark Weiss. He is with Renaissance Communications Group and SendOutCards. Mark, this has been great. For those that would like to be in touch, would like more information, would like help sending out their first send-out card, get your help to walk them through that, tell them how they can be in touch with you.
They can send me an email at MAWEISS@REN, that's N as in Nancy, CO, M as in Michael, M as in Michael.com. It's Rencom, short for Renaissance.
Gotcha.
They can call me, and I'll leave my number on the, give that to John, 770-998-4769. And have a conversation. Let's start there. Tell me about your business. Tell me about what you're doing now. It's not just a question of getting customers. It's a question of how are you keeping them?
Mm.
How are you building those relationships? Because if you're not building the relationships, it's just one-off. And there are people out there who basically they thrive on that. They love the thrill of the hunt of finding a new client.
Sure.
Prospect, acquire, fulfill. Next. Prospect, acquire, fulfill. Next.
Right.
That's not how you build relationships.
Right.
If they get repeat business, it's a matter of luck, not skill.
Mark, this has been great. We'll put that contact information in the show notes, folks. And Mark, thanks again for being with us.
John, thank you so much. The time's gone by so quickly.
It has. But
I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate you. I've known you for a long time now. And I'm happy that you're seeing the results that you are with SendOutCards in your business.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I appreciate your help on that for certain. So thanks again for being with us.
Y'all take care.
Okay. Folks, just a reminder that you can listen to this show on all the major podcast applications. I guess that's apps for short, right? My daughter's going to get mad at me for saying that. Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, really all the major podcast apps. Just search for North Fulton Business Radio and you'll find our full archive of shows on all those apps. And you can go to northfultonbusinessradio.com as well and check out our archive there. We're up over 220 shows now, 500 guests over the last 4 years. So all business leaders like Mark that we have had on that on our show here has been remarkable. I have a hard time believing it myself, but anyway, it's been great. So check it out. Some great success stories that we have featured. We're also on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all three of those platforms, North Fulton BRX. So for my guest, Mark Weiss, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.